Okay, so what do you think a real millionaire looks like? And I'm not talking about what you've seen in the movies. We're going to grab this whiteboard and literally erase the myths and sketch out what wealth in America actually looks like. And trust me, it is not what you think.
Seriously, when I say millionaire, what's the first thing that pops into your head? It's probably this, isn't it? A giant mansion, some ridiculous sports car in the driveway, maybe a yacht for good measure. I mean, that's the picture we're sold everywhere. But what if I told you that whole picture is pretty much a fantasy? Yeah, let's just wipe this whole thing clean and start fresh. You got it. We're diving into the classic book, The Millionaire Next Door, and it's going to completely shatter that myth we just erased. We're about to redraw the picture of a real millionaire, and here's a spoiler. They probably look a lot more like your neighbor, or even you. Okay, so let's get this down on the board. Over here on the left, we'll put the myth. And on the right, we'll sketch out the reality based on what hundreds of actual millionaires told researchers. You know, there's this great Texan saying that perfectly describes the person on the left. Big hat, no cattle. It means they look the part, they project all this wealth, but underneath it all, there's not much there. It's all for show. All right, let's talk clothes. You're probably picturing a slick $2,000 suit, right? Well, scrap that. The research found that the typical millionaire had never spent more than $400 on a suit. I mean, that's a huge difference. And what about the car? No way. Forget the flashy sports car. The data is super clear on this. They're driving reliable stuff. Fords, Toyotas, Hondas. And get this, they almost never buy them brand new. So who are these people, really? Well, the study found a lot of them owned what the authors called dull, normal businesses. We're talking welding contractors, auctioneers, rice farmers, even pest controllers. And that just proves a huge point. Building wealth isn't about some flashy, high-paying job. It's all about discipline and what you actually hang on to. Okay, but wait a second. This is a great story, but is it too good to be true? Is it the whole story? Well, some critics pointed out a pretty big potential problem with the research, a classic statistical trap. It's this thing called survivorship bias. And the question is a fair one. Did the researchers only talk to the lucky few who actually succeeded? I mean, what about the thousands of other people who tried the exact same thing, lived frugally, started a business, and ended up failing? Let's draw this out so it makes sense. Imagine 10 people all start a business. The study comes along and interviews this one person, right here, the one who became a millionaire. But what happened to the other 9? See, if you only look at the winner, you get a really warped idea of your actual chances. But here's the rebuttal. Newer research actually pushes back on this. They did these things called longitudinal studies, where they tracked the same people for years and years, and they found that, on average, self-employed people just plain make more money. One study showed self-employed men earn nearly 40% more than guys with regular jobs. Okay, fine, but what about that scary number everyone throws around? You know, the one that, like, half of all new businesses fail. Here's the secret sauce, though. Entrepreneurs don't just try once. Think about the math. If your first attempt has a 50% chance of failure, your chance of failing twice in a row is only 25%, and failing 3 times in a row, just over 12%. So your odds of succeeding just keep getting better. It's exactly like interviewing for a job. You don't stop after the first no. Okay, so now that we've kind of put that criticism to bed, let's get back to the real blueprint. What are the actual practical habits that build this kind of wealth? It really boils down to 4 simple but powerful principles. All right, number 1, live below your means. And hey, this isn't about being deprived or being a cheapskate. It's just about being intentional, being smart. And that leads right into number 2. You take the money you're not spending and you save and invest it. Every single dollar you save is like a little employee you can send out to make more money for you. Number 3, stay away from bad debt. I'm talking about high-interest credit cards, car loans. That stuff is like an anchor dragging you down. And finally, and this one is maybe the most important of all, you have to value financial independence more than you value showing off. That's the real goal. Having freedom is the ultimate status symbol, not a fancy car. But listen, there is one major trap. A trap that can completely wreck this whole blueprint, especially in families. And the authors of the book gave it a really interesting name. They call it economic outpatient care. Kind of sounds like a medical term, right? It's basically when affluent parents keep giving their adult kids money, helping them out all the time, and it comes from a good place. But the unintended side effect is that it conditions the kids to be amazing at spending money, but not so great at building wealth on their own. You know that old saying, give a person a fish? Well, this is it in action. The parent is handing their kid a fish, let's put a little dollar sign on it. It solves the problem for today, for sure, but it doesn't teach them anything for tomorrow. So what's the better way? You guessed it. Teach them how to fish. Instead of the fish, the parent gives them a fishing rod. And that rod, that's knowledge. It's discipline. It's the skills they need to provide for themselves for a lifetime. That is the key to real generational wealth.
So let's redraw this whole thing one last time. The key takeaway, the big idea you need to remember is this. Building wealth is not about how high your income is. It's not about the fancy lifestyle. It's about a disciplined mindset. It's about what you keep, not what you make. Think of it like a sport. It's so easy to get obsessed with playing offense, earning more and more money. But the millionaires next door, they are masters of defense. Frugality, planning, investing. That's their game plan. So the final question for you is, which game are you focused on?